Hey everybody, this is Stanislav Boyka. Yesterday I was asked to answer some hard questions on speaking part 3 of the IELTS test, and today I received them. These questions are related to the topic of genetically modified foods. Before we start, let's remember that in part 3 we need to give our opinion about the question and justify it, and if possible, provide some relevant examples. This is exactly what I'm about to do right here, right now. So let's get it started. Question 1. Why is producing and consuming bioengineered food so controversial? Well, on the one hand, we got overpopulation these days, and we got so many people on our planet that the food supply isn't sufficient. So what we have to do is to ask our scientists to find a way how to produce food much faster and in bigger quantities. And they can do it by changing the DNA structure of plants and animal species, the meat of which people tend to consume. So generally, the problem is solved, and there is no more, worry about food shortages in the world. However, there are so many opponents against this method of food production who claim that this type of food can be very dangerous for people's health, because when people consume the food that is unnaturally changed, the genes of which are altered, no one can guarantee that the DNA structure of people themselves won't be changed in the future after continuous consumption of genetically modified food. For these reasons, this issue is really hot and people still discuss it. The debate is ongoing and there is no one clear answer whether the GM food is more beneficial or harmful for the humanity. Question 2. What are the reasons for the increasing interest in organic food in some parts of the world? Well, currently, the developed regions of our world are interested in moving back to the natural food consumption. The reason for this is simple. They know the danger of the bioengineered food, because people can have serious diseases like cancer or infertility if they continue eating those genetically modified food products. So, in order to increasing the lifespan of citizens, governments are trying to convince people to move back to the organic foods. They know they can't stop the mechanism of this GM food production, but at least governments try to slow down the process and persuade people to come back to the natural food consumption. And as a result, people can live longer and have fewer illnesses. Question 3. Do you think science is improving the quality of the food we eat or making some foods a danger to our health? Well, I'm not an expert about this issue, but from my perspective, this food which is produced scientifically is more dangerous for the human's health. Let's think about this. Well, people can take a gene of strawberry, add it to a gene of raspberry. Now we have a plant with a berry which has vitamins of both raspberry and strawberry. It sounds good, but the human's stomach and the organism itself as a whole isn't ready for this new type of product. So of course there might occur some difficulties with the digestion, because the unfamiliar food product, even if theoretically it sounds good, can be actually dangerous for humans' health. So from my point of view, consuming the organic food is healthier and more useful for people's body. Okay, and the final question. Do you think GM food should be labeled? Absolutely yes. Because when people see the labels that some kind of food is genetically modified, they can be aware of dangers and consequences that they can have after consuming it. Let's speak about some example. Let's imagine that people want to buy some watermelons. They go to a supermarket and they can see two types of them. One of them is quite costly and the second one is less expensive. Without labels, people can think and come to a conclusion that the former watermelon is probably exported and therefore the cost is high, whereas the latter one is locally grown, so it explains why the price is cheaper. However, in fact, the first watermelon is naturally grown and it required more water and more time. Therefore, it's costly. And while the second watermelon is genetically modified, it was easier to grow, so it doesn't, cost as much as the first one. But people don't know it, and they can buy the second one, they can save the money, and they believe that they eat some natural food product. So from my point of view, people have to know about the dangers they are going to pay for. So when they see the labels of the food on the food products, at least they can have an option to save the money and eat genetically modified foods, or maybe pay extra and buy organic food, which can be healthier for their organism. Now, these questions are definitely hard. I hope you won't get so difficult questions on your test, but even if you get some of them, I hope now you have some ideas to tell in your speaking test. If you have more difficult questions, please text them on this comments area and I'll be happy to answer them. That's all for now. Take care.